Alright you guys, welcome to another patch notes. Today we're just going to go over the stuff that I changed last week when I was in Indianapolis for Nationals. Wasn't a very big patch, a lot of changes, but it did balance it quite a bit, and I think we're very, very close to having this thing perfectly balanced. I mean, that's a little bit of a humble brag, but I think we're doing a good job at it. So first we're going to go over some of the minute line changes, and then cards that were removed, and then cards that were added. Save the best for last. So there was a lot of cards in Guardians Rising that came out that allowed us to change our lines up a little bit, just to have some more consistency stuff. So for instance, this Machoke here, we actually have two duplicate Machopes in the cube right now because I was lazy. They just had different arts. So if you didn't notice that, then no big deal, but yes, we actually have a new Machoke now. This one's probably one of the best ones to draft just because it has damage, so nothing new here. Machoke, this new Machoke that came out with Daunting Pose, very, very good to stop your sniping stuff. There's not a lot that snipes, but hey, it's a better Machoke than the base set one that we took out. Fletchlinger and Fletchling, both of these have limited prints, so getting another copy of them helped us to remove duplicates. Nothing too exciting with both of those. Alone in Vulpix is one of the best cards like ever printed, and so we were able to change up one of the Vulpix lines so that we can make room for Beacon. And then Matang and Beldum allowed us to take out some of the psychic ones, a psychic Beldum and a psychic Matang, to make them more metal focused. So it was really nice. Nothing special with both of those, although the 90 HP I think is a little bit higher than the average HP there. But then the big one is Talonflame. We have removed Talonflame from Steam Siege. Starting with that Talonflame in your hand just allowed you so much power through the game, and you were kind of taking a risk to draft it without drafting the rest of the Talonflame line, because if you didn't start it, it was a dead card, and dead cards in U150 are actually like a thing. So thankfully a new Talonflame was printed. We're going to have to watch this one, though, because it might make Talonflame a little too busted. We think with DCE a straight 90 over and over again, it's kind of like really good. But then again, fire needs a little extra punch. So hopefully this will make fire where we want it to be, but fire has always been the most impossible thing to balance. So hopefully we don't have to switch off of Talonflame because we kind of like where it is right now. Hopefully it doesn't become too busted, but nobody's won with it yet, so you know, there's that. Oopsies. And then cards that we're removing to make room for other cool stuff. Here's the Talonflame, like I said, we're removing. If you start with Gale Wings, it's just over. Battle Frontier is being removed. You'll see why in a second, but this was kind of just to counter the Pidgeot line that we took out. Plot spoiler, we're taking a Pidgeot. It's just like, you know, no one ever drafted it, and it was only to counter certain things, and it's just not very great. So, taking it out, way too situational. Repel's being taken out after a quick patch. It got put in the last pitch, taken out in the last one. Just no one was drafting it. It's just not as good as like I thought it was. So took it out to make room for some extra good stuff. Lieutenant Surge went in about 4 or 5 patches ago, and it's being taken out again. It's just a glorified switch. It's really all it is. I got the card somewhere. I got a copy of like a first edition holographic Lieutenant Surge, and I was like, I want to put this in the cube. I think that's really why I did it. It's really just not that great. Like, Switch is just better. Regirock's being taken out. We've always wanted more fighting support on basics, and Regirock was just kind of like the go-to one because you can like accelerate from it. But the 70 damage just isn't a lot, and I never saw anyone use this card to success. I saw people use it, but successfully, not so much. Suicune, pretty good if you had a whole bunch of water Pokemon or Blastoise, but we're taking it out just because we needed room for some other things, and this was kind of just like the easy one to point to, especially since we are now adding Rescue Stretcher in as kind of a more universal recovery option. So having a specific recovery is just kind of weird. So get rid of it. Turbo GL's getting the axe. Unfortunately, this was like one of the first cards ever put in the cube, and it's survived a lot of patches and a lot of suspicious fingers saying we should get rid of this card, but I think the time has finally come. It's just way too hard to draft a deck around, and you need a lot of specific things. And if you don't get those things, this card is just bad. Excuse me, 3 for 30. Just, you know, you're not going to do a lot. And Bonsly's being taken out. Fake Tears was kind of a sort of a disruption thing, but we found out that disruption can stand on 2 legs as its own, so it doesn't need that extra boost for disruption. So Bonsly comes out. Moltres is coming out after a really long time in the cube as well. I always wanted to try to get Wildfire to work, but there's just not a lot of synergy there. When you play Mill decks, you're not really building around Wildfire, so Mill's a good archetype, and Disruption's a good archetype as is, so no need for Moltres. And then Pidgeot comes out. Now, one of the reasons Pidgeot's coming out is because of this, the Quick Search Pidgeot. It's busted. If you get a 1/1/1 Pidgeot line, your consistency just gets absurdly higher than anybody else's, and you can single-handedly just win games off of Quick Search. There's not a lot of counterplay to it, with you not being able to Lysander kill it. You know, you really have to play some sort of like Ampharos spread. Ditto kind of counters it. A Battle Frontier counters it, but outside of that, there's just not a lot of counterplay to it. So we decided that, you know, hey, if we take out Pidgeot, what are we left with? We're left with Beating Wings, Delta Reserve, and this Headwind Quick Attack one, none of which ever get drafted. So we didn't want it to be a situation where you only are drafting one of the lines, because that's what we don't want. We want all 4 to be equally as good or, you know, draft worthy. So we didn't want this line to die. So we got rid of it. Whoops again. So I'm just going to start with the Pidgeot line. We are adding Togekiss in. These are the 4 Togekisses we're adding. Right now I don't have this Togekiss, so if you draft in the next couple weeks, you'll see 2 of these guys in, because they're the same thing pretty much, just with 2 less cards. We think Togekiss is going to do what we want in terms of colorless Pokemon. We want colorless to be a supplemental line, not a line that you draft and build a deck around, if that makes sense. We want this to be, you know, we want it to be splashable. We want all of the colorless Pokemon to always be splashable. And we feel like we have that with Blissey, so we want to include that with Togekiss. Yeah, nothing much more to say here. They all have different merits, and this powerful Sap one's going to be a lot of fun, and it adds more fairy cards. So yeah, Togekiss is going in. And then a lot of cards from, oh, I missed some cards. I did miss some cards. We're going to have to manually look those up. What am I missing? I think we're just missing the Absol. Yes, so Absol from, let's see, I'm doing this super janky. Absol from Guardians Rising is being added. More disruption, even though disruption didn't really need much help, but Doom News is going to be super fun. You can build a deck around Absol. So that's why we added it. It's a pretty interactive and fun card. We're adding all 3 of the playable Oricorios. Supernatural Dance is actually, I think, going to be kind of busted. I didn't see it to use to success the first time we played with the patch changes, but, you know, who knows? That might be really good. This Oricorio is going to be good in Blastoise decks and any other deck that you just kind of need. If you have an abundance of search and you want to play less energies, you can play Oricorio. And then this gets a little bit of boost to fire Pokemon, although for kind of ironically or not ironically or however, there's no fire fletchlings, so this might be an issue. Like, this card might not be as good as we think it is. Kindle's a good attack, but this whole Passionate Dance thing, this card might get taken out just because Fletchlings can't be searched out with it. If we switch off a Fletchling into something like Typhlosion or Charizard, then we would put this back in. But right now it's kind of weird, but it's in here, so have fun. Rescue Treasure, more recovery. The cube is always needing recovery cards, and this card came out as a reprint of Pokemon Retriever, which is already in the cube, so might as well have a second copy of it. We don't have Oracle, but why not put Mallow in to try it out? I don't have Oracle in the cube because that card's like 20 bucks, and I'm lazy, so Mallow. And then Brooklet Hill, hopefully it gives them a little extra consistency to fighting and water, 2 colors that kind of need a little bit of extra boost. And, you know, it was just another card from Guardians Rising that we wanted to add. So, yep, those are the patch notes. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and, yeah, we'll see you next time.